because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
LabCoatAgents podcast.
You're still not doing video and you're not sure where to start. Well, we've got you covered today. We are going to go over back to the basics on this week's podcast, the type of videos that everyone not only should be, but needs to be using in your business. And if you're more on the advanced level, we're also going to talk about some AI that you could potentially be using, AI that you may not have heard of, as well as a new collaboration where you are going to get a discounted price on not only business video school, but also a social media coaching with Drunk on Social. And there's a collaboration coming together, but you need to tune in to get access to that. LabCoat Nation, enjoy. So let me introduce our guest today. Nick Niehaus has been on the podcast more than once, I believe. He's a business partner. He's a friend. And you all have come to know him as a video savant, video expert, as he runs with his wife, business video school. And it is, I still think today, Nick, the only platform that exists that teaches salespeople, real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, really anybody, how to do video at the most basic level to be able to do it on their own. Does anything else exist like it?
Not that I've ever seen. I mean, we always talk about we're the only online school that sort of comprehensively teaches, particularly real estate agents. That's our specialty, but really small business owners in general, how to use video. You know, we don't just say market with video. I mean, there's so many different kinds of video, so many different ways to use it. We really fundamentally see it as a form of communication, you know. So I think our approach to how we do it is also different, which is probably how we ended up with a school, because we realized, hey, there's all these different places to utilize it. We need courses and support for each and every one of those. So no, I don't think we've ever seen anything like it out there.
So if you've been living under a rock and you have no idea what the business video school is, I'm gonna have Nick do a quick little description about it, because it is a very advanced platform. And as many of you know, Tristan and myself, we're a big part of it, and we do a lot of trainings and we help create the content. Obviously it's Nick, Vanessa, Michael Glazer also behind the scenes does just a magnificent job with his role with the business as well. But Nick, tell us a little bit about the business in and of itself, where it was conceived, why it was conceived, and really what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we're about 3 years in at this point. We actually got started right around the beginning of the pandemic, which I think was good timing, because that was when people were really hungry to start learning this stuff. But going a step back from there, I mean, I think where this all kind of came from was for many years, we were in studio making videos with real estate agents. So we'd bring these agents in, we'd make their very first ever video. They're getting on camera for the first time. And they would share this video. We'd run an ad on it. They get thousands of views, hundreds of responses, comments, likes, all this engagement. And oftentimes the direct business. I mean, we're talking like listings within a week or two from posting these videos. And the thing that kind of shocked us at the time was that they weren't turning around and making another one a week later or a month later or even 6 months later. And so we started to dig in, and what we found and why we built the school was that there just wasn't very good training, especially seeing video as a form of communication, you know. So there was really high level stuff. Here's how you use a DSLR camera. Here's how you go, you know, try to build a YouTube channel. I mean, that's definitely part of it. And we talk about those things in the school, but we didn't see any training on like, hey, here's how to make a really simple video with just a phone, you know, like here's how to communicate with your ideal customers. Here's how to make video messages. Here's how to stay top of mind with the people in your sphere, which is really, really basic videos that don't require any editing. I mean, that is the vast majority of video. The vast majority of video are these small interactions, these sort of intimate touches that you get with people. And there wasn't any training on it, you know. So unfortunately, there was training on like the most advanced forms of video, and then pretty much nothing else. And so that's where we kind of got into piloting some trainings and some courses. And we worked with Michael for years. We brought him on. I know we reached out to you and Tristan because we needed to help get some experts on board that could help us spread the word to lots of people. And the rest was history. I mean, we launched literally like within a couple weeks of the lockdown starting. And I think 3 months later, we'd had 900 students through our first course when we first got started. So obviously the appetite was there and everybody was locked at home. And so we've just kept going ever since. And our sort of angle at this point is, look, I mean, if you want to learn to use video, we will teach it to you from the very beginning. And I think that's the important part, is that even if you tried it a couple times, maybe you made a couple videos, still not quite sure what to do with it, or you've thought about it, but you just never tried because it's been that intimidating, or sort of, you feel that weird about seeing yourself on camera. Like, those are the folks that we love to work with, right? I mean, that's our bread and butter. That's where we love to get started. And then we take you all the way through the entire process. So we have a whole curriculum. We call it the Real Estate Video Roadmap. It's very thoroughly research tested. We've done this with thousands of agents now all across the country, even some in other countries as well. And we've sort of figured out the right approach to sort of get the best of both worlds. Because in a lot of ways, it's about, yeah, I want to learn these skills. I need to start making video, but I also want to get results, right? And results is what keeps the momentum going. So if I can make my first couple of videos and actually get something in return, get a referral, get a listing, get a buyer, whatever it might be, I'm a lot more likely to go out and make some more videos. So we tend to start there, which a lot of times is not public video. A lot of times that's sending people happy birthday video messages. It's staying in touch with the people in your sphere with really simple videos. And so that's the beauty of this is, some of our students actually kind of end up kind of kicking themselves a little bit because they realize, wow, I really could have been doing this 3 or 4 years ago. It's not that hard, but I needed guidance to get started. And I think that's where we really sort of focus, right? It's just that guidance, that track, that path that sort of says, look, I'm going to do this thing. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. It's going to be a little bit intimidating, but in just a matter of weeks, maybe a few months, I'm going to be up and running. I'm going to have momentum, and I'm just going to keep making video from that point forward. And so those are the folks that we really like to work with.
Yeah, I love all that. And I'm gonna expand just for a second as we lead into the first topic, and Nick's heard me say this before, but Nick and I have been talking for a number of years, even going back pre-COVID. We had been talking about doing this, and COVID just kind of exaggerated it and made us push forward to move quickly. But here's the thing, like you can rewind the clock and I can say things like, as you used to hear, video is the future, right? And then it became, well, now you better do video to differentiate yourself. And then it was, various versions of my shitty video will outperform your non-existent one and things like that. But my narrative is changing on that. And I want, for those of you listening to this today, for most of you, you probably shot a video. And many of you, some of you probably shot a lot, and some of you have just done it very sporadically. But the reality is this: if you're not doing video at a higher level now, because of the way TikTok has changed our appetite for content, right, you're going to get left behind. It's not just a matter of doing video now. And that's why I think the video school is so incredibly important, and why I asked Nick to come back on again, because it's like, I feel like everybody needs that consistent reminder. And when we were discussing what to talk about today, we decided, you go to these conferences, you hear from a lot of quote unquote experts, people doing video at a very, very high level. And the reality is, Nick, to me, I feel this way, is it can be very intimidating. And I know, because I'm talking to these students, these professionals, and I'm watching these people do video at the craziest of high levels. And I realized that it's just scary enough to press play. And so we discussed today that we're going to talk about, getting back to the basics and using it more as a customer service tool, because you're missing the boat if you're not using it in that capacity. And so, Nick, let's talk about that. Let's talk about where an agent, somebody which I think, God, I would argue 90% of professionals are not using it at a high level, or not using it at a consistent level, which means there's a lot of opportunity here. And so let's talk about how should they be using video?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is where, so I like to try to make analogies or sort of reframe things, help people understand them. And I think about, again, video, and I say this all the time, video is a form of communication. It's just a new way that we can talk to somebody, and it should be considered as a potential replacement for any other form of communication, right? And I think that's the question we should always be asking ourselves is, will the recipient, is the person I'm reaching out to right now going to have a better or worse experience depending on how I choose to talk to them, And so that doesn't mean you always send a video. It doesn't mean that we're going to be 100% focused on making and sharing videos for the rest of our lives, but we do need to sort of hit pause for a second and really think about that question, because I think that's where a lot of folks, we went all the way to the end of the spectrum, right? We're doing marketing videos. These are very public. This is very intimidating. It's a very complex form of video. And back to your point about the conferences, I mean, I've heard stories and I've seen this firsthand where you go to this conference, somebody's talking about a video strategy. There's 3 different kinds of videos, the specific things you're supposed to make. They're supposed to get run as ads. They're supposed to be put on these platforms. In about 45 minutes, they give you the whole strategy, the entire thing, right? Which is cool and flashy and sexy and fun. And then you look around the room and you see people kind of scratching their head going, but how do I make the video? Like, where do I even start? I don't know how to run ads. I don't know how to make any of those kinds of video. I don't know how to use the camera. And they're just sort of stuck. They're sort of flabbergasted, Well, on the other hand, what if somebody walks in that room and says, hey, look, the first video you should ever make is just reach out to somebody you already know, that you have a strong relationship with, and say happy birthday for 10 seconds. You hold your phone up, you hit record, or you go to the Facebook Messenger. I mean, you can do this through the Facebook app on your phone. It's so easy. Hit the notifications tab, search for the birthdays. Next to everybody is a messenger button. You click it to start a chat. And then you just open the camera part of the Messenger app and record for 10 seconds. And that's it. I mean, you can send 10 of these in 5 minutes. That's a lot easier. There's only a single person seeing it. It has a tremendous impact. This is something people remember for weeks, oftentimes many months even. And the reason is what I was talking about at the beginning. It's just that video is a better form of communication. It's easier to see that person's authentic excitement for you. You can actually see their smile. You can watch their facial expressions as they say the words happy birthday, and you can see that they actually mean it. That all really resonates with people. So that's, I think, the part that we really need to get back to when we talk about the basics here. It's like, this isn't even getting back to basics. This is literally, we completely skipped the basics. We went all the way to the deep end, on day number 1. And so I was curious about this today. I was like, the emergence of video over the past 5 or so years, maybe 10 even, kind of reminds me a little bit of like when email first came out. Like when it first emerged, it was this new thing and everybody was confused about how to use it. And then it kind of gradually became well adopted. Well, the crazy thing though about email is, and I put a small survey out about this the other day on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, when you first started using email, did you either A, send email to an individual person at a time, B, send emails to a small group, or C, did you market with email? Did you send these mass emails to a big list of people? Obviously, every single person said, I sent them to a single person to get started. And then I immediately came back and said, like, why aren't we doing that with video? Why did we skip that step? And I think that's where, so yes, it's basics in the sense that it's so much easier. It requires less equipment, less understanding, less of everything pretty much. But it's also, it's the natural organic first step that we almost entirely completely skipped over. And so I think when you come back to that place and you say to yourself, again, a lot of this is about what's best for my recipient, what's best for the customer, right? I mean, we should always be asking that question. How do we give our customers the absolute most incredible experience, in particular, because they're going to go around and they're going to tell their friends and family about that experience, right? That's how we're going to generate referrals. So that's a long explanation for all this, but I think that's the important thing to understand is this is it's a relatively new, although it's not new anymore, but it's a way that we talk to each other now. And the more you embrace it from that perspective, the more you just start to think, how can I just talk to my existing customers? How do I build further relationships? How do I push the envelope with this better form of communication? And you're going to see massive benefit from that, right? You're going to have more referrals, more repeat business. You're going to generate more, solid leads, people that actually want to work with you. They're not just contacting some random agent, like they've gotten to know you through these videos over time. And it's not an immediate impact. Like you don't see this stuff the next day, but after just a few weeks, a few months, I mean, this really fundamentally changes the way your business functions. I mean, it's going to save you a ton of time. It's going to build relationships a lot faster. And that's where it gets fun, right? That's where you start to build that momentum and try new things too.
Yeah. And I mean, I think obviously everything you're saying is spot on. I want to say this to those of you that are thinking to yourself, gosh, I feel like I'm so far behind. Is it even worth starting at this point. And I cringe when somebody does say that, because I'm thinking to themselves, oh gosh, like this is only going to continue to evolve more dramatic. We're not going to go backwards. We're not going to go backwards and just stop using video. And you were mentioning this off the air earlier, that it's only a matter of time. In fact, it's already happening, where other industries, like this is going to become so incredibly mainstream that there's no better time than the present to embrace and adopt this stuff. And so for that person who's sitting there thinking to themselves, I am intimidated, I feel like I'm behind, is it even worth it at this point? How do you respond to somebody like that?
Well, use it is what I would say. You use that fear to overcome your fear of getting on camera, and I think when you go back and you remind yourself, hey, there's easier places to start. I probably have almost intentionally, I think we subconsciously, we overcomplicate things that we don't want to do, right? So we say, well, video is too hard because really we just don't want to do it. So we tell ourselves there's this complicated, overwhelming reason that we haven't done it yet, right? Because that kind of gives us the reason to procrastinate. And so I think that's really where a lot of this comes from, is we have to go back and sort of think in terms of, let's start on that basic end, and then just take that fear, that intimidation, that sense of, hey, this camera's scary. And remember, only one person's going to see it. I mean, in fact, you could just record it once and watch it back and delete it if you don't like it, right? I mean, you sort of take a lot of that pressure off, and then remind yourself that you're falling behind, right? So that can become the driving force behind what pushes you forward, because the real question you have to ask is video going to go away, right? Is this a fad? Is this a temporary thing, right? Is stuff like TikTok and YouTube, like, are they gaining in popularity, or are they waning, right? Are we losing interest in these kinds of forms of communication? And I think the answer there's pretty clear, right? I mean, this stuff, we literally consume more video content every year, which is kind of mind-blowing, because that time has to come from somewhere, and I'm not really sure where we're getting it anymore, but we are consuming, hours and hours of video content every single day, and we're doing it on our computers and our phones now, in addition to televisions. It's not going to go away. And I think it's the difference between, do you want to be the person who is 4 paragraphs of text in an email that I have to read 3 times to try to understand? Or do you want to be the person? Do you want to be this? Do you want to be the person who's on camera, talking face to face, that has that sort of eye contact thing going on, right? I mean, it's just a distinctly different experience. And I think that's where we're in the transition right now. So the good news is, like, you are not behind. The reality is, like, there's, I mean, if you think you're behind, you certainly have time to catch up, but there's still plenty of opportunity to start doing this. What we're really asking in the short term is, do you want to be seen as the innovator who sort of was slightly ahead of the curve? You're not way ahead of it anymore, but do you want to be seen as kind of like one of the first to do something in your area, and therefore an innovator, therefore somebody who really cares about their customers? Right now, when you send somebody a video message, like, the person watching it says, like, oh, that seems kind of hard. That's a little intimidating. Like, I appreciate that they put themselves out there to do that for me. That won't be the response in 2 or 3 years. And in 2 or 3 years, it'll be, why are you texting me 4 paragraphs of text? Like, I want to see a video. I want you to explain this to me. I will understand that so much better. So that, to me, that's the motivation, is use the fear to get yourself past that tipping point, make those first videos, get the momentum going, and recognize that if you do it now, you're going to be the innovator. You'll be the person that your competition copies. If you wait much longer, and I don't know how much longer it's going to be, I mean, we're looking at just a couple years, maybe just months at this point, other businesses will start doing this. So even if you don't think your competing agents are going to start, other businesses in the area will start, and you will have to copy them. This will become a requirement. It's like email. It's like phone, cell phones now, right? Like, you can't do business without having a phone in your pocket anymore. You can't do business without using email, at least to some degree. Social media, right? I mean, 5 or 10 years ago, lots of people kept rolling their eyes, kept acting like they were never going to use these tools. And then the industry, the evolution forced it on them. So don't be that person, right? Don't wait for it to get forced on you. Do it now, especially something that can be as complicated as video. You're going to want to have a little bit of leeway. You're going to want to have a little bit of a head start, so you have some room to play with. If you wait until everybody else forces you to do it, you're going to be scrambling, and it's going to be much harder, right? Yeah. So I think that hopefully there's some reason in all of those to get started, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And the truth is this, I think, honestly, I think what Nick's saying, first of all, again, 100% right. But when you use the word innovate, I think that might scare people. And so
Sure.
let me also say to you this. I know there are some of you out there, because to me, the word innovation is like the hottest button for my business. That is our business. How do we constantly innovate? But I know for many that's scary, because that means doing things that others may not be doing. And so for those of you that look at it from that perspective, let me give you a different perspective, which is you don't have to necessarily innovate to survive. But I think what Nick is saying, and I know that's a dramatic statement, again, your consumers are going to get so accustomed to receiving video customer service. And Nick was talking about this, and he can elaborate on this, from an auto mechanic, from your doctor, from literally pretty much every service that you get within your life, right? Over the next decade, probably a hell of a lot quicker than that, this is going to happen. And therefore, your consumer, the home buyer and home seller, is going to have this expectation of a video message. And so, although I don't think Nick or I will tell you that it's life or death to be on social media, it's not. It's going to create an advantage for you. But if you just don't wrap your head around this simple concept of customer service via video, you're probably going to go extinct in this business. And that's just the end of story. And so Nick, let's talk about that. And let's go back to, you mentioned the birthday messaging. You talked about, maybe sending an update throughout a transaction instead of 3 or 4 paragraphs. It's a video, which it's easier to articulate. It's easier to understand. Let's talk about that and what quote unquote skill is required for these agents to embrace video and start using it. Because, dude, you know this, man. I'm preaching this. I've got a pretty large team of loan officers, and I've been preaching this for years. And it's like, just start giving your updates via BombBomb and watch the impact that it has. And those that have, attest to it. They stand up on pulpits and say, "Oh my God, this is the experience." And every month, dude, every month I'm sending out BombBomb standings as a leader. And every month, over 50% of my people have sent 0 videos. And it blows me away. And it's like, so this is part of one of the biggest messages I think we want to get across today is this is the part of the game that you need to really start embracing. And so let's elaborate a little bit more on what technical skills they need and other ways maybe they could use it besides just happy birthday or maybe transactional updates.
Yeah, well, I think that, the reality, the question you got to ask yourself is, do you care about your customers or not? I think that's what it's coming down to. I think a few years ago, it was all, I got to learn the tech and it's new and we're innovating and we're trying things outside the box. And I think now it's as simple as like, do you care about your clients? Because the people that care about their clients will send them video communication. And the reason is that video is, of all the digital virtual communication tools we have, phone calls, text, email, social media posts, all that stuff, video is the one that allows us to show versus telling in the most clear sense, right? So I think that's where, so broadening this a lot and sort of asking ourselves, like, where all can we use video? I mean, it's really sort of the other way around, right? It's really more a question of where shouldn't we use video, because we should use it pretty much everywhere we can. And so I call it thinking video first, it's basically asking myself before I reach out to anyone. So this can be a customer, an employee, a partner, somebody who sends you referrals, a vendor, whatever it might be. Ask yourself, will this person understand what I'm trying to communicate better if this is a video? And the answer is not always yes, right? I mean, sometimes it's no. I mean, I just need to write out a couple sentences and send it over, or, it's a short answer, whatever it is. But the point is, like, if I'm going to give that person better comprehension because it's a video, I should probably make it a video. And initially, and we talk about the skills, right? It's like, there's not many skills here. The only thing you really need to learn to do is to use a screen recording tool. That's pretty much it, right? I mean, there's basics, like make sure you're facing your source of light, so if there's a window in the room, turn toward the window before you hit the record button. Maybe consider turning off the overhead lights if the window provides enough, because overhead lighting is really bad for video. Don't be too far from your camera, because you want to make sure your audio is nice and clean. But that's about it, right? Other than that, we're looking at, maybe a tool like BombBomb or a Vidyard to allow you to record your screen. And then you have everything you need. And I think that's the important thing for a lot of folks to really understand, is that you don't need much. This is, you're not failing to send video messages because the technology is too complicated. You're not failing it because, you need to get better looking before you send these messages. You just haven't taken the effort to go do it. And that is becoming more of an insult to your customers, right? And I made a joke the other day on a presentation. I was like, hey, look, when the local mechanic starts sending video message explaining what's going on with your car and offering you upsell options and stuff like that, you're going to be too late, right? I mean, like if we get to that point, like you're in trouble. And somebody on the call was like, well, my BMW mechanic actually just did that the other day. He sent me this video and showed me what was wrong with the car, and it was great. Felt like I understood it. I didn't feel like I was getting ripped off at all. I mean, it was a much better experience. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool, but like we need to get caught up now. I mean, that's where we're already falling behind. So I think that's the thing, is ask yourself. So there's all kinds of examples in real estate. Like, for instance, let's say you got a customer you're working with and they want a custom home search, right? They want to get like a list of, homes that are just for them. That's somewhat easy to understand, right? However, if you go on your website and you screen record as you set up a custom search and you show them exactly what information you're putting in and you show them exactly what report they're going to get every week as a result, that gives them clarity, right? And clarity makes us comfortable. Clarity makes us feel like we are in the right hands, that this person is taking care of us. And so that's the kind of thing we need to be thinking about, is just, it's not that complicated. In fact, the best way to get good at this stuff is just to practice it, just to go out and record a few videos and, watch them back. Don't be scared to see yourself. You're not going to like your voice. You're not going to look like how you look for the first few takes. But that gets better as you go. And a lot of that also is just about getting used to it. So that's just it, right? Get the ball rolling, keep it so simple that the tech and the skill set cannot be the thing that limits you, and just focus on the customer. I mean, in my experience, the more I focus on, I just want to give my customer a great experience that they're going to go talk about with their family and friends, leading to referrals. The more I can focus on that, the easier this stuff gets, because I'm not even thinking about myself when I'm recording that video. I'm thinking, hey, I'm sending this over to Joe Blow, and he's going to really appreciate that he's getting this level of detail, and he's going to love it, and I can't wait to hear his response. You're not thinking about how you look or sound at that point, and in fact, you're going to come across as natural. You're going to come across as confident. And that's another big reason I love starting with this kind of video instead of going out and trying to do TikTok or YouTube first, because that's just so substantially more intimidating, right? So this just gets us in a place where the reality is the skills, the equipment, all that stuff is very minimal. It's just about getting it done.
I like it. So what would be some other examples of ways that we should be using this? And
Sure.
Again, let me drive home a very strong point. And I know I was, I guess, probably a leader in this space, because it was in 2017 when I spent an entire year sending birthday messages. And this wasn't a complicated strategy, folks. It was friends and family that were already on my calendar. And then I used Facebook. I set up my notifications where I get a notification in my email every day from Facebook telling me whose birthday it is today. I can't forget. Right. And so Now I get it. Not everybody's on Facebook. So I had to obviously do a little bit of due diligence with the people that aren't. But nowadays, that's not many people. And so it was very simple, exactly how Nick described. If you're not doing that, right there, you're missing the boat. Like, understand that delivering a unique message in a way that they're not receiving it from anyone else makes you more memorable. And let me clarify that. If you're posting to their Facebook feed, to their Facebook page saying happy birthday, it's you and 50 to 250 other people. It gets lost in the shuffle. I can attest to this. We all get them every year, right? But if you are sending a private DM, a private text message, a private email with a direct happy birthday, not a canned message, not a happy birthday one-time video that you can send to everyone. I get it. It's efficient, but it's so inauthentic, and everybody can see it now because we're used to it. So take the time, 10, 15 seconds. Hey, Nick, hope you have an awesome birthday. I hope Vanessa treats you to an awesome day. Like, make it personal, right? And so they know it's directed to them. That's number one. Number two is the other obvious. Nick's already mentioned it. It's transactional updates. It's congratulations, your contract accepted. It's a screen share walking them through an inspection or the contract. It's It's, hey, the appraisal's in. Let me walk you through it. There's so many different ways you could do it. What, Nick, are some other useful ways of using video? And what, by the way, I've mentioned BombBomb. What would be your recommended tool for doing so?
Right. Well, so let's see here. I mean, I can just sort of list a bunch off, obviously, but I think, especially when you're getting started, and I think one thing to remember is just do one of these at a time, right? I mean, this is not go try to implement all these different kinds of video as you get started, but we like to, so there's actually an order that we kind of recommend that our students implement this stuff. So we start with one-to-one personalized video, right? So we've already mentioned a few examples of that, the birthday videos, the client transaction updates. I think basically think of it this way: anything you would comment on a Facebook post about. So somebody just had a baby, they went on a cool vacation, they're celebrating an achievement, an accolade, something like that. Those are all great opportunities to send a video message, right? I mean, if birthday videos stand out, saying, hey, that vacation looked awesome. I went somewhere similar, like tell me your 3 favorite things, something like that. I mean, that's definitely going to stand out to them. And I think the other thing to remember there is these are all opportunities to start conversations, and I think that especially the more we get sort of virtual, the easier it is to look over the fact that, like, look, when you go out and network and build relationships with people in your community, it's because you have these conversations. Sometimes they're short, sometimes they're longer, usually 30 seconds up to a few minutes, and you kind of work the room a little bit. Well, just think about the interactions on social the same way, right? Can you get a conversation started? So if you send that video, can you ask a question at the end? Can you get them to respond? Can it turn into a couple back and forth? And the further that goes, the deeper that relationship's going to get, right? So there's stuff like that. I think FAQ videos. This is getting a little bit beyond video messaging, right? So you want to stay with video messaging as long as you can, but as you get past that, you're looking at things like, what are the most frequently asked questions I get? Are there training topics? So the things I'm teaching people. I mean, we all teach our customers certain things. If you have a team, maybe you got some employees coming through, there's probably trainings you're doing with them. One of the things that you can do here is just record what you're already doing. So if you train somebody, if you have a meeting with somebody, just say, hey, is it okay if I just record this? Now you've got your training for the next person, and maybe tweak it a little or something, but you might have most of it already done. So I think, anything where you're being repetitive, I mean, that's where video can be super powerful, is that if I put a video of myself, giving the best possible answer I can to a question in front of a customer, for them, that feels in their brain very much like I met with them face to face and answered that question for them. So there's a lot of sort of intimacy and empathy that's built there. So I think those are huge opportunities. We sort of call that step sort of scaling yourself with video. So thinking about the different places where you're able to sort of almost, you don't want to think of it as replacing yourself with video, but you're just accomplishing more by using video. It probably will save you some time in the long run, which is a good thing. So those are big. And then the kind of the later steps that we recommend. I mean, obviously we get more into the more common stuff, right? So the marketing funnels. I think, reality here is that the way, this industry is like hooked on lead gen at this point, right? It's all about like, I got to generate leads and I get 100 leads and I convert 1 or 2 of them. And I think that's ridiculous, because that means that there's 98 out of 100 people, like the super majority of people who ever interact with you, are never going to do business with you. Like that feels weird to me, and it's only getting worse. And so this is, I think, maybe a transitional point, because what you can do with video is very different, because instead of getting someone's contact information and then trying to build the relationship with them afterwards, we can actually start to really build that relationship with them first. And so when we're talking about video marketing funnels, I mean, you build awareness videos. I think things like community highlights, stuff where you're out in the community. What's so cool about that is that if I see you in one of my favorite local restaurants, I immediately like you, right? Because it's a place that I like. You're now associated with it. As long as you're not disparaging it or insulting it, you're a friend at that point. So those are great awareness videos. And then you pull them through the funnel, right? Consideration, conversion, get them to take action. At that point, though, we're talking leads that convert at like 50%, right? Because now when people opt in at the bottom of that experience, they know us, they know me, they've seen me several times, I'm associated with some of their favorite local restaurants or whatever those community touch points are. And so we do all that. And the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is actually social media. We actually recommend that if you're new to video, you go in that order first, and then you arrive at social media once all of that has been built out. And in particular, once you have habits formed around those things, right? So it's not that one replaces the other. You keep sending those video messages, that just becomes something you do, and then everything else builds on it. Then you get to the social. But if you've done it this way, now you're experienced on camera, you're confident, right? You know what your audience likes. You've already sort of gotten feedback and whatnot from them. And then everything you do, it drives attention into that funnel and into an experience that's already going to contain video. And so it feels very natural, right? So I discover you on social, my friend comments on one of your videos or something. I find it. Now I get pulled into your marketing funnel. I start seeing your awareness, consideration, conversion videos, right? I eventually sign up for a meeting with you. And then once I hit that experience, I'm also getting video communication. And I think, talk about a wow experience at that point, right? So I think so that's a bunch. That's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. In reality, that's a 6 month to several years long journey. Do not try to do all that in one go. I've seen people do it and they get really active and they make a bunch of videos in 2 weeks and they stop entirely. And I'd much rather see somebody make just a few videos in their first week, but have that continue than this big activity at the beginning that collapses. Because this is, again, it's a form of communication. It's like, it's like email. We just have to let it become a regular part of our lives. And if we do, we're going to be in the front half of this transition. We're not going to be the people who are playing catch up. And I'll tell you right now, like having to learn to use email when the average person has already learned to use it was a little bit tricky. Having to learn to use video when everybody else already knows how to do it, that will be 10 to 100 times harder. It is so much harder than learning to just type, because what's the difference? Writing letters versus sending emails, right? Video, totally new. So don't sit on it any longer, right? Start with that simple stuff, but there are so many steps to take. And then the last thing I'll mention on that is just you don't need all of them, right? At some point you're going to find the parts that kind of make the most sense for you and your business. And, reality is like, maybe you're never going to be somebody with a YouTube channel, but that might be something you feel currently like you need. Well, if you start on these easier steps and you kind of build your way up, you're going to feel that out. Like your customers will tell you. They're going to tell you if they really want you to have a YouTube channel. They're going to tell you if they want to see you on TikTok, or if they don't, if they just want to get video messages from you. And it's that kind of feedback is so important, but you don't get it when you're not making video content, right? So you got to get started, gather the feedback. That'll tell you where to go next.
I love it. I love it. And I don't want to beat the dead horse. Here's the reality. And as I mentioned in the beginning, first of all, if you feel like you need a place, a safe place, we'll call it, to learn and to be amongst peers that are going through the same things you're going through, it's exactly one of the greatest reasons to join Business Video School. And we've got a really cool offer for you at the end of this podcast. So keep listening, or if you're done listening to us, just fast forward to the end. But I want to move forward, because I think I don't think there's any more driving that point home than
hopefully not. Yeah.
At this point. Yeah, we're beyond that. I think for most of you, you spent time hearing it, and then it quickly advanced into more advanced things, and you just got intimidated, and life happened, and your dog shit on the carpet, and you just gave yourself reasons not to do what we're talking about. Enough with the excuses. Get committed. We're in 2023, for Christ's sake. Let's go, people. It's time. And with that, let's talk about what's way advanced from where that is, which is honestly just going to give more reason why this is a necessity. But we're going to talk a little bit about AI. So Nick, you were talking about a very specific, we're all pretty familiar with ChatGPT at this point, and those types of platforms. Our good friend Austin Armstrong has Syllabi, which is really cool and very designed for really specifically for salespeople and even potentially real estate. But there's another platform called Be Human that's also relatively new. Nick, talk a little bit about AI and how we can be using that for video, and then tell us a little bit more about Be Human.
Yeah, well, Syllabi and ChatGPT, let's just start on those, because scripting, writing social media posts, writing email bodies that go with the video, writing a blog post that goes with the video you made. Those are all obvious, immediate opportunities. It is mind blowing. You can go to these tools and say, look, write me 10 scripts about this thing. and it'll go do it, right? So I think first and foremost, like that's already there. If you're not using it, you should definitely look into it from that perspective. So both of those tools are great. Then we've got this next phase, and so that's text based, right? So that's sort of a chatbot version. Obviously, the real challenge with video is that I'm on screen, right? So I think we've all seen these deep fake videos where you see like these celebrities and they put their face over somebody else's and they can make them do whatever they want. That is coming to the masses, and then we're not too far away at this point. So for instance, there's two tools I'll mention here. So there's BeHuman.ai. Just found out about that a few days ago. What that one will do is we're talking about these personalized video messages, right? So I reach out and I say, hi, Jeff, how you doing? I got some information to share with you. Well, what BeHuman is capable of doing is it takes a so you record sort of one template video. And granted, this kind of thing, like I want you to be good on camera before you ever do this, because the same video is going to be reused, hundreds of times potentially. You want to make sure you seem pretty comfortable and confident at that point. So what it's going to do though is, and then this is exactly what happened with email, right? So this is, I've been expecting this for a while, is it takes that one video and it changes the name you're saying. So it's not tweaking the whole video, which is kind of messy. And there are tools that'll do that. But it's just tweaking that name, and you can also create other small variables. Like if you say a certain amount of money, you could have that get changed depending on who it's being sent to. And what that does is it creates personalized video from one video, right? So this is the equivalent of when there's a period, these things are always, they work for a while and then they don't once everybody gets used to them. So for instance, many years ago, there was a period where these tools came out for email. And so you get these personalized email where it's got your name at the beginning, and then the rest of it's the same. And for about a year or two, none of us realized that was automated. So we thought this person was had written this email just for us. And it was, oh, wow, man, that's a lot of work for just me. Eventually we realized that was a tool and it stopped working as well. But it actually still is more effective. It's still more effective to say somebody's name at the beginning of an email. So that's what this is. So BeHuman is essentially that, but for video. Now, I watched some demos of it. I haven't tried it myself yet, so I'm not really kind of out here telling you to sign up for it yet. I'm just kind of letting everybody know what's cutting edge. I think it may even still be in beta, but it worked well enough, and it's only going to get better from here. So I think that's the kind of stuff that, we're going to see big companies use those sorts of tools first. I mean, I imagine technologically, it's probably kind of complicated. There's another one called Synthesia, where you can record, again, like a 15-minute demo video. And then that one, it takes it a step further. It can literally from scratch create videos of you. Now, again, it's kind of wonky. It's a little choppy. It doesn't feel 100% real, but it's awfully close. And it's your face. And on the one hand, that's kind of cool. On the other hand, I don't know that I would do it, because then that means anybody can create a video of you. They just have to write out what they want you to say. So that's kind of thing that if I ever got hacked and you had some influence, you might have a doppelganger out there saying all kinds of crazy stuff, so that one I'm a little wary of, but I mean, just the power of these tools. And so what I think we're going to see, and some people are looking at this going well, eventually I'm just going to use these automated tools. They're still based on how you come across in a demo video. So you got to get good on camera. I mean, I don't think we're going to get away from that. This is not a replacement from learning how to smile into a camera lens and learning how to be animated and talk with some confidence. But in another few years, I mean, we really will be at the point where this stuff all becomes drastically more scalable. I mean, video is already incredibly scalable, and it's only going to be more so. And so I think when we look at these tools, I mean, these are usually good indicators for, is this increasing or decreasing? Where is this trending, right? Are we moving in the direction of video becoming a more consistently utilized tool, or is it going to fade out? And if we're building AI tools to scale this stuff even further, it's not going away, right? I mean, these are huge, huge opportunities. So I wouldn't rush out and try to start learning how to use those two, the BeHuman and the Synthesia. But the first two we mentioned, Syllabi and ChatGPT and writing scripts and whatnot, I mean, that's here already. And that's one that you absolutely should be thinking about using. So I think timeline wise, I mean, this stuff's fun to talk about. It's really fascinating. I like to look at those sorts of things, the AI and sort of the cutting edge, as just a way to keep myself engaged, right? So if you're getting started with video and you think that's cool and you're curious about it, by all means, keep an eye on it, but still focus on what you can do right now, right? Focus on sending those video messages, focus on the basics. And then when we get to the point where the average person is starting to use those tools, you'll be ready for them, right? You'll be the person that can, I mean, because like Synthesia, for instance, you really have to record like 15 minutes of demo video, and it uses those demos to create that version of you, right? So if you're good on camera, your versions of these things in the future will be really cool and really good. If you're weird on camera and you're still kind of uncomfortable and awkward, then you've got a permanent version of yourself that acts that way, right? So get started, get the practice in, and we'll see where these things evolve over the next couple of years.
And I will end this segment by saying this, and I have been, I'm obviously a huge proponent of AI and what it can do for us. I'm also kind of a pay attention, like doom and gloom kind of mindset on it, because, and here's why, because I do believe, as Nick described, like we, at first, when email started to become this mass thing, we couldn't tell the difference between something that was necessarily a mass email versus something that is. And now today, it's very easy to tell. There's going to come a time, probably very, very soon, when it's going to become very easy to tell when it's AI versus not AI. And that is where I still believe, I could be wrong, but I don't think so, at least not right now. I think that there is going to be a massive advantage for the people that lean into their authenticity. I think it's going to be very noticeable, just like the evergreen birthday video. At first, when I received the first one, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Then I started to receive several, and then I'm like, this is just a mass message. This is honestly, I'm kind of offended. And
Right.
At first it was like, oh, I'm so excited and it's so nice of you. And then I realized you're sending this to everyone. This means nothing. And I think that is exactly what's going to happen with AI. And I think there's going to be a lot of amazing uses for it. I use it and intend to use it, but I will never use it as it gives it to me, because that is a computer talking. That's not me talking. And so, I have a damn script writer, Nick, that does a good portion of my videos on the social media news. And you know how often I take that script from my writer and use it? Never. I always, in some cases, I rewrite the entire thing. He just gives me a baseline and kind of gets my creative juices going.
Right.
But I always rewrite this stuff, because even as this guy's been working for us a year and a half, he still can't write it like I write it. And I think it's just, he's not me, and he's trying, and I can see it. And I think for those of you that are listening to this and that are freaked out by all of this, I do believe there's going to be a huge advantage, so you got to figure out what camp are you going to be in. You're going to be in the camp that does nothing and probably goes extinct. You're going to be in the camp like Jeff and Nick, probably, where you lean authenticity and you still lean into what you do as a human. And there's going to be the other camp that I describe as lazy. And they are going to take technology because they want it to make their life easier. And it might work in the beginning, but over time, it will get sniffed out. And I don't think it will work as well. And so depending on where you're at on that spectrum, will decide, I think, where you should go from here. So with that said, Nick, first of all, I think that was fascinating, because you just introduced me to something new today. So I appreciate that. But we've got a collaboration that we're going to be working on. So whether you're listening to this in LabCoatAgents, you're listening to this in Drunk on Social, this applies to all of you. And we have been talking about, at the time of this recording, we were talking about doing a collaboration leading up to SocialCon, which is in the beginning of April. So whether you listen to this before or after that, it doesn't matter. But Nick, let's tell our audience about what we're doing and what they're going to get as a result of listening today. Yeah.
So we have a lot of our, a lot of folks have come to us over the years, and, they want help with social media, which obviously Drunk on Social, that's the specialty there. And obviously video now is that's the big way to post on social media. Entire platforms are built around video at this point. So we've been talking about this for a while. We decided, what if we could sort of offer this group coaching around social with all the training that we do through Business Video School, so that these folks, had all the skills they needed to make the videos that they would for social. And so we said, hey, why don't we just bundle our two offers together and offer like basically an insane discount, So we'll see how long we can do this, because this is a pretty good price. But together, these two packages run a little bit under $300 total. I think it ends up being like $294 total if you buy them individually. And the bundle is nearly half off, so $150 a month. So basically you're getting both, everything included. I mean, these are full memberships in both the coaching and in Business Video School. So yeah,
And by the way, it's $300 value for half. It is half price.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's, business video is $97 a month otherwise.
Yeah,
So $297, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible deal. And part of why we want to do that is because they work so well together. I mean, the reality is, I'd love to see the people that are learning what they are through the school, implementing it and staying consistent. And also, especially, just staying on top of the trends, right? Because social media, a lot of it's about, what's working today and what are the experiments. And that's the thing you get with the coaching is you get literally, you got Jeff and Tristan out there. I mean, they're trying this stuff and then immediately coming back and sharing what they're learning with everybody involved. So I think combining those two is just incredibly impactful. And so if you're in a situation where you've been wanting to do more, you've been thinking, I need to be doing more with video, I need to be doing more with social media, this is the best of both worlds, and it's going to get you up and running right away. And I mean, other than coming to SocialCon, you're not going to really see this offer anywhere else. I mean, this is a fairly exclusive offer. So again, basically 50% off. That's going to be for the life of your membership. So this is not a limited time thing in terms of how long it'll last for you, but we don't know how long we're going to offer it for, right? So if you do want to take advantage of it, I'll give you a somewhat unique way to get signed up. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to have you send me a text message, actually. So this is our direct number for Business Video School. So I'm going to give you the phone number. I'll read it a couple times in case you're listening to this. So it's 314-274-6649. And again, that's 314-274-6649. And all I want you to do is just text the word bundle to us. So if you text us the word bundle at 314-274-6649, we'll respond to you and send you the link where you can sign up for that bundle to get the social media coaching combined with everything we offer through Business Video School.
Say that one more time. Give me the number and
absolutely
the word.
Yeah. So the word is just bundle. As long as you just text the word bundle, it's going to respond and say, hey, are you sure you want to get signed up for this? Obviously, if it asks you for confirmation, say yes. Then we'll respond with the link to sign up. So it's a lot easier to share it this way than try to read a big link out to you over a podcast. So again, text the word bundle to 314-274-6649. Again, that's bundle texted to the phone number 314-274-6649.
And let me clarify what you're getting here. So you're going to get, and so we have the Social Genius coaching platform. It's a group coaching platform. If you talk to anybody that's in that platform, they absolutely love it because we're always constantly talking about the latest strategies, the things that we're using, that we're doing, that are working, that you should be using on social. But I tell you, the most common questions we get within that platform are technical questions on how to execute. And on the other side of it, because I've been so involved with the Business Video School, oftentimes we're teaching the technical sides to video, and then it becomes the greater conversation of, okay, now how do I apply this? How do I use this over on social? Which platform should I be doing it on? So there's a great mix that we've had over the years within these platforms, but we don't go super deep on either one. Business Video School runs occasional social media classes. We will occasionally talk about some technical things for video, but we don't have the capacity within these platforms to do both. And frankly, that's not very inexpensive to do that either. And you're getting a hell of a deal here because you're getting them both for $150. And so take advantage of this. Make sure that you wrote down, and if you didn't, you rewind this, get that number, text the word bundle. And we'd love to see you on both sides because the more the merrier, as most of you all know. If you followed any of us between myself, Tristan, and Nick, and the video school, you know that obviously we're practitioners of what we preach. And we just want to give back and give more of it to the world because we know how important this is. Nick and I aren't just saying this. We're not just spewing a bunch of nonsense. We 1,000,000% believe this, and it has had massive impacts on our business, and that's why we're here today. And so Nick, thank you for being on today. This has been, as always, a wonderful conversation. I'm looking forward to doing some more of this at SocialCon, and obviously just more of it in general.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. It was fun as always, and excited for SocialCon here in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
LabCoatAgents podcast.